has a conflicting meeting and he'll be joining us late.
Okay.
So will we vote to excuse then?
Can I join? You don't need to. Yeah, it's excused. Okay. Changes to the closed session agenda. Additions to the agenda, if any, may only be made in accordance with California Government Code 54954.2, Ralph M. Brown Act, which includes but is not limited to additions for which the need to take action is declared to have arisen after the agenda was posted, as determined by a 2/3 vote of the Board of Directors, or if less than 2/3 of the members are present, a unanimous vote of those members present. Do we have any proposed changes to the closed session agenda? Hearing none, seeing none. Oral communications regarding items in closed session. This portion of the agenda is reserved for oral communications by the public or items which are on the closed session portion of the agenda. Any person may address the Board of Directors at this time on closed session items. Normally, presentations must not exceed 3 minutes in length. Individuals may only speak once during oral communications. Please state your name and town, city of residence at the beginning of your statement for the record. Do we have any comments from the public regarding the closed session? I don't see anyone signed in, and we have no one present here, so we will move on. We will now adjourn to closed session.
TTV will be back at 6:30. Thank you.
Okay, it is 6:30 p.m., December 5th, 2024. I'd like to reconvene the open session of this meeting of the Board of Directors of the San Lorenzo Valley Water District. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Sure. President Hill?
Here.
Vice President Smalley?
Here.
Director Fultz?
Here.
Director Lane? Here. And Director Largay?
He was excused earlier.
Yeah. I just wanted to see if he had joined yet.
Okay, reporting out from closed session. No reportable actions were taken during closed session. So moving on to unfinished business. Bracken Bray and Forest Springs contract award.
Jeff, point of order.
Yes.
I think we need to offer the public oral communications at this stage.
Okay, yes, we do need to offer oral communications. Do we have anyone from the public that wishes to address us at this time? Seeing no hands up, and those members of the public that are present have not requested to speak. Okay, we will move on to the unfinished business.
Do you have to ask for changes or deletions?
We did not on the agenda, but any changes or deletions to the agenda? Okay, unfinished business, Bracken Bray and Forest Springs contract award. And also consolidation update.
Thank you, President. So staff is bringing forward the construction contract award for the board's consideration. We did receive 3 bids as discussed at the last meeting. The apparent low bidder is Anderson Pacific Engineering Construction Incorporated. The district has past experiences with Anderson Pacific. They were the contractor most recently on our Altavia pipeline replacement project. They were also the contractor for our 2020 pipelines project. They were the contractor for the Lompico tanks replacement project. And all of those projects have been completed, and we've had good success with Anderson Pacific. A quick update regarding district staff had a meeting with DWR grant staff, and we had a call on Wednesday, yesterday, December 4th, and the request from DWR was that we would update our task lists. So right now we have a work plan that includes 5 tasks: project administration, the water service agreements, environmental compliance and permitting, design, contracting, and engineering support. And the fifth task, the last task, is construction. Each task has an associated dollar amount that make up the total value of the grant. DWR staff has asked us to make a amendment to the work plan to add a sixth task for the bridge evaluation for the Caltrans bridge evaluation. Now, we need to allocate money to that task, and they've indicated that we need to take money from a different task to allocate it to task 6 at this time. So in the email correspondence that's included in the memo, the direction from DWR was to produce the report, the bridge evaluation report, and then we could discuss possible additional funding. So I just wanted to provide that update to the board. As of now, we'll have to move money from one of the existing tasks to the new tasks to pay for the bridge evaluation. Staff is recommending that we award the bid to Anderson Pacific. There could be additional costs that there will be additional costs that the district has to cover. Staff is estimating these costs at $1.4 million, as we discussed at the last meeting. Although the board should be aware that the actual cost could be less or greater than staff's estimates. And once the grant money is exhausted, which right now we have 2.5 million remaining in the grant, the district would need to pay the actual cost of the construction and the consultants that we would need for the construction management. And with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Director Fultz?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Thank you for putting together the report. Just a small thing on formatting. When it comes to numbers, tables are easier, at least for me, to absorb than prose, but I don't know if everybody else on the board has that. But I appreciate you putting the numbers in. It looks like if Monterey Peninsula Engineering hadn't amended their bid, they would have been the low bidder.
Those Porcus
Yeah,
had the clerical error.
yeah, it was interesting that took over. Anyway,
Yeah, it went from the lowest bid to the highest bid.
yeah,
I noticed that.
Who was the contractor that was not adhering strictly to working hour and noise and all the rest of it?
That was JMB Construction. That's part of our 2021 CIP project.
Okay, so we've had no issues with Anderson on any of that.
Correct.
Excellent. Have we coordinated with county and possibly state on paving?
We have. So I had a meeting with the county encroachment inspector on West Park to discuss options as far as if we could do a partial paving, just a trench paving. And unfortunately, that's not possible. They are requiring us to go edge of pavement to edge of pavement on West Park and Park Street. Those are the two county maintained roads. As far as Caltrans and the right of way of Highway 236, it will be a full lane from the fog line to the double yellow.
Do we have any idea when West Park was last paved in that area?
I do not know when it was last paved, but at the site visit, the road is in poor condition. And for that reason, we're not able to do the trench paving.
I get that. One of the concerns I have, and I think this is something to deal with in the future, is effectively the county using our money to do maintenance that they're not doing on county roads. There's a trade-off here, and I get that. For example, on Irwin Way, they had just recently paved, and then we came in and cut it up. Okay, we got to repave the whole thing. I get that. But if you're not maintaining a road, there's a conversation here that needs to take place.
They did pave up West Park, turned Ridge, and then went Virginia, but the way that we're going, they have.
Yeah,
not
and
paved.
this because Irwin Way had not been paved in the 35 years that I've lived here at all, period. All maintenance was done by the residents. cold patch and the holes and the like. So, yeah, we got to have a conversation around this. Are there any private roads that are being paved, that are being affected?
There are private roads, Hazel Break would be affected on the replacement of the temporary connection to Brockenridge.
Do we have easements on it?
Part of the scope of work for Sandus is to develop the easements for that.
And are those roads paved?
They are.
Okay, what's our policy going to be around paving on private roads?
Well, the scope of work includes paving Hazel Break for not the entire road, but just the section where we are working.
Okay, edge to edge.
Correct.
Okay, so again, we've got policy related issues here around private roads as well. In terms of when they were maintained, how much of that maintenance activity we're going to take on versus the people that live there taking on. We're not going to end up paving all the roads here in the San Lorenzo Valley and Scotts Valley for the county or for the private residents. That's not fair either. But we'll deal with that separately, I guess. Do we have an incoming materials inspection process for Anderson Pacific? And the reason I'm asking about this is I noticed that they did not provide any kind of model or specification, any information about what they were purchasing that you could use to verify specs.
Correct. So the way that the process works is after we issue the notice of award, that starts a 10-day time period where Anderson Pacific has to execute the contract. Once the contract is executed, then the district has a 60-day time period to issue the notice to proceed. Once we issue the notice to proceed, that starts contract time. Once we've issued the notice to proceed, the contractor has 10 days to begin work. And by beginning work, we expect to receive submittals. So they will provide submittals from the manufacturer on the material that they are going to be using on our project. The submittals are routed to the engineer of record for review and comment. And then once the submittal is approved, it goes back to the contractor and they will purchase the material.
Okay. And then we're assuming the quality then will meet the specs on the incoming and that we won't have any issues with pipe getting perforation or anything like that.
Correct. And if there's any defects in the material, that would be visited on the manufacturer by the contractor. If there's any defects in the workmanship, the contractor has a 1-year warranty from the date of completion.
Yeah, that's short.
We do a test. So prior to connecting to our existing distribution system, we will do a hydrostatic pressure test to check for leaks.
Okay, great. Yeah, appreciate you putting together, Garrett. Again, another good job on the materials that are coming to the board. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark, any questions?
Yes, I have a few also. Several questions are related to schedule. I see on page 59 of the agenda pack, critical path schedule required from the contractor. Is that after award or is that as part of the bid package?
So it's actually a submittal that they have to make.
Okay.
And so that would be, they could submit that with the contract, or it could be the very first submittal or that they get after they get the notice to proceed.
Okay. And related to that, we have a 270-day contract. Are you getting any feel from Anderson Pacific that yes, this is doable within that time frame, or that?
Yes, I have spoken with Anderson Pacific, and really for the work, they don't need that amount of time at all.
But
it's more paperwork.
But that clock's started and give them the once contract award, correct?
It starts once we issue the notice to proceed.
Okay, and the notice.
So if we can issue the notice to proceed on January 6th
right.
of 2025, that would mean that they would have to be complete with the work and project closeout by like October.
Yeah.
I believe it's October 3rd.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Okay.
Yeah.
But we don't have any liquidated damages.
There's $1,000 per day liquidated damages.
Oh, we do.
Yes.
Okay, so then we do have a bright line date of.
Once we issue the notice to proceed,
Yep.
the notice to proceed, that will
But
start,
there is
set
Okay.
the date.
all right.
Yes.
Mhm.
On page 42, I see under addendum 1, item E, you've excluded rock excavation from the ability to come back with a change order. Is that new?
This is part of our general conditions in the specifications.
Yeah.
And it's not new. It's in the contract
Okay.
documents.
That's the first time I'm seeing this then.
I wanted to make it abundantly clear to the bidders
Good.
that I was not going to entertain a
Good.
change order because of a past experience.
Yes.
And I
That
attempted
happened.
to enforce this
Good.
provision.
If you've spelled it out more explicitly in the addendum, then
Yes.
we gave you what we can on borings. Anything you hit, that's yours. You're buying it.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for putting that in clear enough that we could see that also as board. That's good. All right, that's the questions I have on it. Thank you. Next.
Yeah.
Director Lang?
Well, I was really happy to see that 9 a.m. start time because I think Bob kind of touched on that a bit. I thought it was Monterey as well that was violating that because I got stuck in quite a bit of it as well. And that does hurt the school's funding for reading it. So I really appreciate they're making sure that start time is at 9 a.m. I did have some questions, kind of like about like I saw that you making sure that the prevailing wage was being paid and there was a $200 fine and also that we had the apprenticeship programs, but there was no fines. Like, what are the checks and balances to make sure that they are adhering to those things?
So typically the district will hire a labor compliance consultant. And part of the progress payments, which are typically monthly, they have to submit certified payroll.
Okay.
And that would be uploaded to the DIR, Division of Industrial Relations, I believe. And then also sent to our consultant for review. And then once they're in compliance, there's 4 tasks that they have to do. There's a project narrative. They have to give us an updated schedule. They have to give us as-builts. They have to get a certified payroll.
Mm-hmm.
And once they have a complete submittal, then we can go ahead and issue the progress payment minus the retention.
Okay.
That is in the California Labor Code, I believe.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand the process a little bit more because I know like making sure people are underbidding and not following through on those things and just better understanding the checks and balances of all of that. And then thank you for answering my other email questions. Who was calculating all the numbers and everything? Is that in-house or is that everything that was being submitted? And there was like,
as far as like the error in their count,
yeah.
I mean, the bidders produce those numbers in their form and submit it to us. If we were contemplating awarding the bid alternate, it would be pertinent for us to bring that to their attention.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, so it's just all coming from them, those there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions from the public on this?
Hello, Nicole Lunderberridge from Brackenbury. I just want to say that we support this base bid being awarded, and we look forward to hopefully working out the alternate with the price, prices being different and more higher. But we support this, so I just wanted to go on the record.
Thank you.
Karen Vitale from Forest Springs, and I'm echoing Nicole's comments. We are in Forest Springs are 100% in support of moving forward, and we want to thank the board for their diligence in working through this process and especially compliment the staff for the hard work to get this to this.
Okay. I do not see any other comments in the room. I do not see any hands up. I think it's time for a motion on this.
I move that the board directs the interim general manager to execute the notice of award for the San Lorenzo Valley Water System Consolidation project to Anderson Pacific Engineering construction for a base bid scope of work in an amount not to exceed $3,253,580.
I'd second that.
Secretary, call the roll.
President Hill,
Yes.
Vice President Smalley,
Yeah.
Director Folt,
Yes.
and Director Lane.
Yes.
All right.
Motion passes. Okay. That's the contract award. We also have on the agenda here Brackenbury and Forest Springs consolidation update. Do we have additional update beyond the contract discussion?
Yes.
Thank you.
So this item is in regards to an additional services request for the engineer of record, Sandus. Scott, I believe Jeff Satara is on the call. Can he be promoted, please? Sure. Thanks.
CTV, can you please promote Jeff Satara? Excuse me.
So as we discussed at the last meeting, we have Caltrans review comments regarding the load rating of the existing Caltrans bridges on Highway 236. Sandus has prepared the additional services request, number 11, in the amount of $225,000. This would be to complete the bridge evaluation, 2 bridge evaluations on one for each bridge. They have a subcontractor, Miyamoto International. They are a well-known structural engineering firm. I actually went to a presentation that Kit Miyamoto made at Cal Poly in regards to, it was after the Christchurch earthquake in New Zealand, and he had traveled to New Zealand, set up an office, and was helping with the recovery efforts. I believe he did a similar effort in Haiti after their earthquake. So he's very well known in the structural engineering community. And he even does interviews on programs like CNN. And he had on his website where he had done a bridge evaluation in Sacramento and had provided an evaluation for that instance. Additionally, there's some survey work for an easement on Hazel Break that we need to complete, and then some construction administrative support during construction. So that would include in this additional service request. And with that, I'll take any questions you have.
Director Foltz?
Do we know who the people are that need to sign the easement?
It would be the Brackenbury Country Club.
So there's Brackenbury, just overall, there's a right-of-way survey that was done, but that would be the easement of our roads. So that would just be our community. And then there's 3 easements for properties that would need to be addressed. One is my property, my neighbors, and then on either side of me. So they're all known.
Okay. And it's individuals, not an organization.
Well, there's the organization for the right-of-way of the roads, because you're gonna put the pipes underneath the road. And then there's 3, and I guess it depends on whether you're limiting it just to the front entrance.
Yeah.
It's just Brackenbury.
At this
But if
time.
it's the whole thing for the consolidation agreement, then there would be 3. So it's just the front entrance.
And the only reason I'm asking is we have another situation where it's a little bit more complicated.
Yes.
I understand.
Right?
Yes.
And the fewer signatories, the better, obviously.
Yes.
My only real concern is there is one bridge, I forget which one, my apologies, that already has a 4-inch line on it. And we're going to evaluate that from the point of view of hanging a 12-inch on it. But really, we need to evaluate it for hanging both a 4-inch and a 12-inch. And I just want to make sure that's absolutely understood by Sandus, that it's both pipes, not just one or the other.
So after we have the 12-inch in service, the 4-inch pipe will be abandoned.
No, I understand that,
Okay.
but they're both hanging at the same time.
Yes.
You can't abandon one before the other.
Correct.
And charge.
And to Bob's point, we have to fully load the pump.
Absolutely.
During
Yeah.
hydrostatic testing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, do you want to speak to that?
I will agree with the board. Existing conditions and proposed conditions modeled simultaneously for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
As long as that's really crystal clear, because I don't want to spend $250,000 and then the state comes back and says, but you didn't do X. So, yeah. Okay, great. Again, thanks. One of the bigger meta issues we have here is in our district is easements. It's something I've spoken about with previous general managers. To go through and comprehensively determine where gaps are would take an enormous amount of work. But I'm glad as we're going through these that we're taking this into account. Also, in the interest of equal justice for everybody, we also need to value these, right? So if people want to grant it at no charge, that's great. But we do need to go through and make sure we're putting a valuation on the easements when we're asking for them. Though I would hope that people would say, hey, we don't need any money, because the money is going to be so low that it doesn't really
I want my money.
change. It'll give you a dinner in San Francisco.
I want my water and I don't want to worry about $50 on it.
Right. So it is important that we do that because we need to be treating everybody equally.
Agreed.
Thanks.
My questions are related to Sandus's subcontractor or subconsultant on this. Miyamoto. Jeff, I looked at their website, and yes, they do have a impressive list of projects for structural engineering, but nearly everything that I look at on their website are buildings going vertical. And I looked for bridges in their project summaries, and it wasn't much that I saw. A pedestrian bridge at Universal City, but on that pedestrian bridge project, they listed a subconsultant as their bridge design consultant for structural integration systems. So tell me why, convince me why you want to bring this firm versus a different structural engineering firm that has more bridge experience.
Sure. So we spoke to a number of firms. We have some working history with Miyamoto, and I wouldn't disagree with you. Their website and probably the breadth of their work, in California and internationally is vertical construction, and that's displayed clearly on their website.
Right.
I think it's a matter of what they chose, to market themselves as. The engineers that we work with all have many smaller projects that might not be as interesting to the world as some of the buildings that they've worked on. They are quite expert at transportation systems, bridge analysis. One of the reasons we made the decision to select them was their enthusiasm to work through this issue specifically. An older bridge that's not well documented. They find that kind of work interesting because it's different. And frankly, a lot of the infrastructure projects that we work on fall into that category. I'm not going to discount the fact that it's going to be, complex structural work, but it takes motivation to do so, and they are motivated. While other engineers we spoke to were less motivated and kind of put off by the fact that there isn't a clear path between starting and getting approval. Um,
Okay.
Helps
Okay.
answer everything you're
Well,
worried about.
some of what you're saying does what parallel what I was seeing in some of the projects that were not bridge design. A couple cases in point. A Vermont Avenue project that they listed was for structural engineering for an existing unreinforced masonry building to allow increased occupancy. Well, I draw a parallel from doing this bridge that we want to increase the occupancy of, i.e., the loading capacity on it. So I like to hear what you said, but I didn't want to conclude that first. They also uh, mentioned they showed an art structure in Las Vegas that was an assemblage of canoes that required significant structural engineering that was an out of the box project that required a lot of structural engineering. And I hear you saying something similar with their enthusiasm to do this.
I think the principal of that firm, as Garrett had mentioned, is someone who he cut his teeth on doing out of the box projects, cutting edge.
Yes.
And in structural engineering, seismic design and seismic
Right.
analysis is kind of it. And applying that to vertical construction and, other types of things, transportation and infrastructure projects. It's what they do all over the world. And I believe they have something like 10 offices in the Western United States and then maybe like 17 or something outside the United States.
Yeah.
We're going to be working with a local office, people that we've worked with before, have a good relationship with. But only to say is they have an incredible breadth of experience across their firm to draw on. Not that I think they absolutely need it, but they've got a lot of horsepower.
Okay. Okay. Then the other question that I have is to Garrett. Have you had the opportunity to talk to Caltrans reviewers or reviewer? The one that Sandus will eventually submit this package to say, here's what we're bringing in, or here's what we are planning on doing.
I spoke with the Caltrans encroachment permit staff member.
Right.
And the response I got was they don't have a list of engineers that they recommend.
Right.
Any qualified engineer, as long as they respond to the comments and provide the calculations, that would be acceptable.
Right. So do we have comments from Caltrans, or is
yes.
it okay? So we have a list of comments from them on what they need to do then.
Yes. Jeff, do you want to speak to that at all?
Please.
Sure. I mean, the comment is quite broad, is do the analysis for a load rating. But it's a comment nonetheless. We know the path that needs to be taken. Once the analysis is done, let's stay positive. Let's assume that the bridge has plenty of capacity. They want to kind of validate the actual posted load rating on the building on the bridge and make sure that the additional loading of the new pipeline doesn't change that. Like I said, let's assume that there's excess capacity. It's all going to be just okay, fine. There's nothing else we need to do, but they're going to keep obviously the report will back up their permit approval. And obviously we'll be sharing that with Garrett and he with DWR and the board. If you ever need to draw on it again.
Okay.
We get to pay for their work.
I would encourage early on in the process, if you can have the meeting with Caltrans reviewers, not the encroachment firm, but the structural engineers, so that it's structural engineer to structural engineer talking, and here's the model that we're gonna use, or here's how we're gonna, no, don't use that one, we prefer this. Anything like that that you can glean from them, from an early on conversation, I would strongly encourage that.
Okay.
Understood and agreed. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's the questions I have at this point.
Director Lang?
Um, what was the number for the bridge with the 4-inch pipe? Because we have the 3600, 3 zeros and a 9.
Right.
What was the number on the other one?
That's 0010.
Okay, 00.
That's 36-0010.
Okay, I was like trying to look up what that one was. Yeah, I don't really have any questions. I hope that all of this comes back and okay, and we're able to put these on underneath this pipeline so we don't have to go a different route. So, yeah, looking forward to the results and thank you for all your work on this.
Okay, and my only comment is I certainly hope that the original contractor that built the bridge didn't cheat on the grade of concrete he used. Or rebar either. Okay, comments from the public?
Hello again, it's Nicole Launder from Brackenbray. I do have a question regarding the second part of the service in regards to the easement. When Brackenbray worked with Rick Rogers and Josh Wolf, we had initiated some ad services to Sandus. And as a result of that, Sandus came back for an ad service for the right-of-way survey for $30,000. And so that was submitted to the county. So that was a part of doing surveys and stuff like that. So I'm kind of questioning why this was not a part of it and why would they need to resurvey. And if we're going to do this, we might as well just do the whole Brackenbury right away at one time in regards to the easement because it's a collective system. And so it seems to me it's a more of an administrative effort on Sandus's part. So I just wanted clarity on it.
Jeff, do you want to speak to that about the previous survey?
Sure. You're exactly correct. And it is all administrative what's left. There's no field surveying necessary. This is creating a legal description of the easement and the document itself. Things that will be done in the office. There's no additional survey work necessary. It's a fairly small amount, $2,900 or so, for that effort to pull together the legal description, create the legal description and the document.
Okay, because the three bullets based on the attachment, we propose to survey the area highlighted in red, determine the location of existing parcel lines based on maps and deeds available for public record. And so that's why I was just kind of wondering why that's included in that, if it's already been done. Any case, Brackenbray supports obviously getting the calculations for the bridges done. We do encourage that the overall easement for Brackenbray in regards to the main lines be addressed since we already did the full record and submitted it to the count, not we, but Sandus did in November of last year, so a year ago. It seems to me it should just be done in its completeness. And then the 3 private properties could be managed separately, even though they're very small in their square inches. So in any case, we support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the public?
This is Karen Vitale from Forest Springs again, and once again, I just want to weigh in with our support to move forward with this part of the award as well, with this contract with Sandus. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So recommended motion.
Before we make the motion, I do have one further thought that I wanted to comment on.
Go ahead.
Jeff, at what point, if the bridge does not look like it's going to be able to support this, it's a no-go. At what point in the process, in particular in the $200,000 or $220,000 portion of the process, would you expect to get to that? And how could you bring that information back to the district staff to say, We think it's time to stop.
Well, I think preliminary numbers will come rather quickly. There's model setup that'll take some time. So I would hope that we don't get into it any more than about $50,000 before we knew 110% that
Yes,
it'll work.
okay.
My take on it is that it's not a matter of it working or not working. It's a matter of the existing posted load rating being impacted, which, we can still discuss, right? We should still say, hey, we think the loading is going to change on the bridge, therefore there'll be potential use impacts. That can still be a stop point or a milestone discussion.
That will be a milestone discussion, and I would hope that you and the structural engineer put it on hold, come back to the district, have that discussion, and most likely district getting Caltrans involved. Here's what we're saying, so that we're not just proceeding with all the rest of the calculations. Okay, good.
Understood.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, fail fast.
Exactly.
Yes, good. Thanks. I was going to ask about that too. With the next part of it is if we get to that point, then we're going to issue the modification to Anderson Pacific. Say, hey, this remaining 4-inch there over the bridge, right?
Correct. We'd have to issue a change order to the work.
Yeah.
And that would include the connection at the 4-inch, and then the deductive credit back to the district for the work we're not performing.
Okay, good. So Anderson Pacific knows this might be coming too. Or they should know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. I move that the board directs the interim general manager to execute the additional services request number 11 with Sandus in an amount not to exceed $225,000 in support of the San Lorenzo Valley Water System Consolidation Project.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. President Hill,
Yes.
Vice President Smaley,
Yes.
Director Fultz,
Yes.
Director Lane.
Yes.
Okay, passes unanimously.
Thank you. Motion passes. New business. Harris Cross Country Agreement. Chris, is that yours?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'll be presenting that today. And so, yeah, the item will be an amendment to the Harris Cross Country Environmental Review Agreement.
Mhm.
And this amendment will add the Lompico pipeline to their scope of review. This pipeline will be the same exact type of review that's happening for all the other 5 included in the original agreement. These Lompico pipeline is important to add because we have grant funding to complete the pipeline, the environmental review and design of this pipeline. And yeah, we need that to get the environmental review done so that the grant can fund the work that's done. The Lompico line will be buried, which will help to fire harden it from potential future fires. And the grant also includes the Bennett line, which is already included in the Harris contract. So that one's already checked off. We just need to add the Lompico line so that we can get the environmental review done before the grant expires in May of 2025. Yeah, I think the amendment will be for around 13,500, bringing the total contract to around 72,000. Yeah, and with that, I'll take any questions.
Director Fultz?
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for putting it together. I remember talking with a previous general manager about burying this, and he'd mentioned that it would be extremely challenging to do so due to, I don't know, terrain or other aspects. I mean, I appreciate the fact that I want to bury as much as possible. I've made that very clear, even on some of the pipes that we've decided not to bury. Is it feasible to construct this and bury it sufficiently deep to be able to get that fire protection?
Yeah, I'd ask Garrett about that. I'm not
It's possible. The issue is you're not gonna be able to get equipment on the line, so it would be a lot of labor.
On a
to
hand
make it happen.
Mhm. Well, that'll get us in shape, right, Mark? So, yeah, I mean, basically it's shovel and pick work, right? Or small trencher maybe?
Yeah, if they could get some like a ditch witch or something, some kind of small equipment, maybe a mini excavator. And the problem is it's steep terrain, there's trees,
Yeah.
there's no access.
Go down to your
it's really-
Kubota dealer. Go down to your nearest Kubota dealer.
But if we do this environmental review with the assumption that it's going to be underground, to me, that's more of an environmental impact than if we were to put it on top of the ground, correct?
It's already on top.
It's existing.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. But if we did that, it's more of an environmental impact. We're taking a more conservative, because what I think I'm hearing from Garrett is we haven't concluded that we're going to underground it yet.
The intention is we are gonna develop plans
Right.
and put out to bid to have the pipeline put underground.
Okay.
So, okay, again,
I'm interrupting your.
yeah, but I mean, that's okay, because I mean, we're kind of going down the same path. Just to make it really clear, this is 100% grant funded at this point, this 13,000?
It's a 90% grant.
90, well, yeah.
So there's a 10% cost share, but
The funding to underground this though, that has not been secured?
so this is phase one of the grant project, which is the full 370,000 for environmental review and design. There's also a phase two of the project, but grant funding associated with that, we don't know what that is yet. We can only reach that once we successfully complete phase one and have all of our ducks in a row.
And this can be, even with this addition of work, they can still meet the May 13th deadline?
Yes, they believe that they can. We would prioritize this project and the Bennett pipeline over the other projects because these have a timeline, and the other projects on the cross country review don't really have as much of a timeline.
Yeah, okay. I think grant funding is going to become scarcer over the course of the next few years. Can't cut $2 trillion out of the budget and not have some impacts. And the state is certainly not in a great shape. I just hope that when they go through and do the cuts, that they're allocating infrastructure over other things, because without infrastructure, you got nothing. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that there might be some grant funding coming down the line. All right, thanks.
Mark?
Do we have or need easement for this? Or are we simply replacing what's there?
I don't know if we have an easement for that line. It was an emergency intertie with the Lompico system.
Okay.
So this line goes from
Right. So
Cyane to Lake.
who owns the property that we're going to be going through this area then?
I don't know who the actual landowner is.
So we remember I was saying earlier about a lot of easement issues.
It's an existing line.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We gotta pursue that. Otherwise, if we can't get that, I'm gonna say, why do it?
I see.
Unless you want to claim adverse possession.
I mean, we have a
There's
pump
legal
station
expenses.
and we have the line.
I understand that.
So-
I understand that.
I'll look to
But-
see if we have easement.
Yes,
Please do.
yes. Okay, that's my question on this.
It's got to be added to your checklist, Garrett. Everything, do we have an easement, especially over
Yeah.
private property?
Yes, yeah. I mean, because I think it's becoming apparent that some of these pipelines may have been put in 30 years ago and
Or longer.
and easement, what does that word mean? at the time. And now we don't have a choice. We have to have.
Well, and keep in mind that there was a pipe put in pretty close to where I live back in the early 80s that ultimately resulted in litigation, cost the district quite a bit of money. When it was uncovered as running through somebody's buildable property. Yeah. So, yeah, this is very important.
Okay. That's my point on it. Okay.
Director Lang?
I just really appreciate that you flushed that out, Mark, out of this conversation. Now I would like to see as much as our pipeline protected. So hopefully we can go that route and it's not too much of an environmental impact. Yeah, so I'm really hopeful for that, but I didn't have any questions.
Comments from the public on this one? Seeing none in the room. Seeing no hands up online. We have a motion. We have a second.
As soon as I can get to it, I recommend that the board of directors approve the agreement amendment with Harris and Associates for the cross-country pipeline replacements, environmental review for an amount not to exceed $13,431 and authorizes the interim general manager to execute the agreement. Second.
President Hill,
Yes.
Vice President Molly,
Yes.
Director Foltz.
Yes.
Director Lane,
Yes.
passes unanimously.
Okay. The only thing on the consent agenda is the board minutes from November 21st.
I hate to do this, but there are a couple things that need to be corrected, I think.
Okay.
So that means I gotta pull it. Which means we're gonna have to vote, on that. So, okay to proceed with the.
I'm sorry?
Okay to proceed?
Yes, it is.
So on the roll call motion for the new business 5A, I think Director Hill or President Hill was, I don't see a vote for him. You didn't leave, did you? You were there?
Which one is this? I'm sorry.
It's 5A.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely my bad.
And then on 5C, if we can just add in what the result was of the discussion by the board in terms of the schedule. Because I think we did decide to leave it as is unless there was a need to come back.
It says that, it says staff may bring
I
back
said
item
staff
in
maybe
December.
Brian,
Yeah,
that was
but
kind of
this-
what we ultimately decided was that we may bring it back. in
Right,
December.
but we did say we're gonna leave it as is. So
Yeah.
I'd like to add.
Add a note, okay, no problem. I'll add his, that was completely my bad. Good catch, thank you.
So, I don't know if there are any other comments, but I'm certainly ready to make a motion.
Does anyone else have any changes or corrections to the minutes?
I'd like to move that we approve the Board of Directors, San Lorenzo Valley Water District meeting minutes for November 21st, 2024 with the modifications for Director Hill and the result of the discussion.
Second.
President Hill,
But I do need to.
Oh, any comments from the public?
should've done that before.
I see none online. Any other board member comments?
No.
Okay.
All right. President Hill.
Yes.
Vice President Molly,
Yes.
Director Foltz,
Yes.
Director Lane,
Yes.
passes, thank you.
Okay, we have no district reports. We have no written communications. We have no informational material. Seeing no further issues in front of the board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending.
Good night, everyone.